Hello, friends, and happy Wednesday to you. I hope that you are having an incredible week. Let me tell you, I'm just so happy to be here. I'm so happy because we are doing In the Loop. And of course, because I'm here with my buddy, Greg Nibbler. It's always a treat. It's like hanging out with your friends, but you happen to be here talking about trending business news and tech news. And of course, as you know, what makes the show so much fun is that we're going live. So not only do I get to talk to Greg, but I get to hang out with all of you. And as you know, we are here streaming on multiple social media platforms. But hello. Welcome to In the Loop with Winnie and Greg. I'm Winnie Sun, longtime financial pro, CNBC council member, Forbes contributor, and host also of Level Up, which can be found on NASDAQ and other platforms, just to name a few. But of course, you're not just here for me. You're here for a Twitter extraordinaire and my go-to for all things tech and just like awesome human, my co-host, Greg Nibbler. Greg, how you doing today?
I am doing good. Thank you, Winnie. It is always so much fun to be here. And it's always great, seeing everybody join in. I already see the comments coming in, which, hi, Vicky, and everybody else who's joining here for the show. Love it. For those who don't know, my name is Greg Nibbler, longtime tech reporter, covering some cool stuff today. So we have some new things today we're going to be talking about, and also some concepts, some ideas that I think are pretty amazing. So those will be coming up later. But, as we go through, of course, drop in your comments. Let us know what you think. If you have questions, if you agree or disagree with any opinions about tech, it's all fun here. So we'll definitely see all those. We talk about that. But all that's coming up here in just a little bit. Winnie, I know you've got a bunch of things that you're talking about here too, as always, kicking the show off, letting us know what's going on in the world of finances. And I'm excited to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, lots of stuff going on, Greg. But, before we jump in, I got to say a huge hello and welcome to CrossX Fighter on YouTube Live. Always grateful to see Joshua with us. Such a treat. And yes, big hello to Vicky. And by the way, Vicky shared a picture with me of her nephew, and he's such a cutie pie. So thank you, Vicky, for sharing that with me. And if you're joining us, I see a lot of you joining us from LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook and YouTube. Don't be shy. Share your comments. We are all friends here. We love to kick it off with you. So let's talk about the market. And unfortunately, I say unfortunately because it wasn't the best of days, but that's okay because we're here together. So we're going to make up for it. But the Dow closed down, down 99.99 points. So let's just call it 100 points. NASDAQ down 91 as well. S&P down about 24, 25 points as well. Unfortunately, it seemed like things were getting a little bit better earlier this week, but has now starting to move into negative territory once again. Companies are continuing to report their third quarter earnings, which by and large, we've actually had some pretty positive data. But unfortunately, investors are looking for more. And of course, they're still continue to be concerned, not only of rising inflation, what the Fed's going to do, but of course, other concerns as we're going to the fall and winter as well. And of course, concerns, geopolitical risk coming out of Russia and the Ukraine. That certainly continue to give us pressure as well. But on a positive note, at least things are sort of, humming along here in the United States. And one thing that I'm not sure if hit your radar, I want to make sure that you saw this, is the IRS has just made an announcement. I know the IRS doesn't make a lot of announcements, but when they do, we try to pay attention. And Greg, I don't know if you saw this, but the IRS has now actually just released brand new income tax brackets for 2023. Now, you might say, like, how exciting is this, right? And well, Greg, it is sort of exciting. And because they have actually raised their federal tax brackets for 2023. Of course, 2023, that means when you file your taxes in April of 2024 or sometime in 2024. So the standard deduction is increasing for both married couples who file jointly and, of course, single tax filers. This basically means, hopefully, that you'll get to keep a little bit more of your money. And they're saying they're doing this because of soaring inflation. And so they're increasing the brackets. So therefore, hopefully, net, it means you get to keep a little bit more of your money. So thank you to the IRS for doing this. Greg, I'm sure it's somewhat good news for you, right?
Yes, I'm all for that. You never know when you hear something it's coming out from the IRS.
You're like,
it's usually not the most exciting stuff, but this is good. This is actually a good thing.
This is a good thing, yes. And they're saying that this could lead to, like, there's like talk that this could lead to higher limits that you're able to contribute for your 401k and your individual retirement accounts, like your IRAs and your Roth IRAs. They're saying this might happen too. So, you know, I guess hopefully we get to keep more your money, our money, and whatever. I'm hoping, like, I don't know, Greg. Yesterday, I actually read a study that said that, you know, for Thanksgiving, the cost of turkey from last year to this year increased by more than 70%. Did you know that?
Whoa.
So I'm
No,
like,
I
you
did
know
not hear
what
that.
though? Maybe like, you know, maybe like the tax brackets could increase a little bit more than just 8% to keep up with inflation, because like some things cost way more. I was
Seriously.
planning to have turkey for Thanksgiving. Now I'm thinking I might go chicken.
Yeah, I know. I was just at the grocery store today. Just the prices of everything are so up. Even like soap, like
Even a
dish
soap.
soap. I noticed it was like $5 for like just a regular dish soap. I'm like, it's
Seriously?
insane. Yeah, yeah,
Oh man.
yeah, just
Yeah.
nuts.
Yeah. That's
But
crazy. I fortunately I have my warehouse store membership, which I'm really grateful for. But yeah, like that's craziness.
yeah,
Um, Well, speaking of more things like crazy, which I think is sort of disappointing, this has been trending in a lot of financial news, whether it be CNN or CNBC, a lot of the places that I hang out. This actually is a study that came out, the workplace report that came from McKinsey and Company in partnership with leanin.org. And this is sort of their big, huge annual study of women employees and talent data. And I thought this was fascinating. This is 222 Women in the Workplace report. This is what it's called. So they surveyed over 40,000 employees at like 55 different companies. And they found, and they're saying this is representative of over like 12 million employees in US and Canada. This is like what people feel. What I thought was really fascinating about this is, you know, during the pandemic, a lot of people quit their jobs and whatnot. A lot of people weren't happy with how the workplace was. But about 49% of the women that were surveyed, these are women leaders, said that flexibility is their top three consideration of whether or not they're going to, you know, join a company or if they're going to leave a company. And this is in comparison to about 34% of men. It's like women, I guess women definitely value flexibility even more so than men employees. And they're saying that, you know, a lot, they're not, they're, we know there's not enough women as it is in the C suite, right? Because they say typically in the C suite that, you know, mostly men, of course, and only 1 in 4 C suite leaders tend to be women. And of the women, only 1 in 20 is a woman of color. So they're saying that a lot of companies want to hire more women, want to hire more diversity, but they're having a lot of challenges. And it's interesting. I thought this was actually big news because they're saying, how do companies keep women in the workforce, in leadership, and what do they need to do to be successful if they want to make sure that they have diversity in the workforce? So it's like people are talking about this because I guess a lot of people are saying, we're losing quality women. We can't even find them. And they're saying that, what do we need to do? And they said 40% that were surveyed, women leaders, said that diversity, equity, inclusion efforts was something that they really valued, but they felt that it wasn't acknowledged in the performance reviews when they really wanted to embrace this. So I was a little surprised by this. I don't know, Greg, have you seen this in the news? Because it seems like it's splattered all over financial news. But
uh,
to me, it's a little
oh,
surprising.
yeah. I mean, it's unfortunate, you know, that it's still feeling that feeling that DEI, you know, isn't being taken seriously, or the flexibility, you know, all the concerns aren't being actually taken, because it's not like this is something new or surprising. I just wish companies would do a better job, you know,
Mhm.
would do a better job with it, and you know, find a better way to make sure that everything's being taken care of with that.
Hmm. Yeah, and I absolutely agree. And I
You
think
know,
that, you know, I know you and I've had these conversations.
yeah,
I know you're a big fan of diversity, inclusion. I mean,
absolutely,
that's something
yeah,
you and I have in common. You know, we try to bring that into the show with guests
yes,
and everything else. But you know, I feel like based on this study, 40,000 women, I feel like
it's
we've got a lot more
frustrating.
work to go.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's frustrating that you know, whatever it is, whether companies aren't taking it seriously, or executives aren't taking it seriously, or not doing enough.
Hmm.
Obviously, with that many people saying there's an issue, I mean, there is definitely an issue.
There's an issue. Yeah. And we're
Yeah.
seeing a lot of comments come in, Greg. So I'm seeing
Mhm.
Vicky is talking about, yes, it's a fix. We need to do a fix. It needs to be a fixable workplace. And
Yeah.
Vicky is also sharing no more 9 to 5 anymore. Absolutely.
Oh
And I
yeah, as far as
see,
that.
yeah. And then
Yeah.
Sadiq says, we love the IRS. Hello, Sadiq. It wouldn't be the same without you. IRS, he loves the IRS. I don't hear that often, Greg. You have,
You, that's not a common opinion.
not a common opinion, yeah. But Sadiq's not a common person. So
That is
thank you,
true.
Sadiq, for sharing your comments on this. Speaking of sharing comments, I want to tell you this next story. Vicky, I was really channeling you, thinking about you, and I was like, I think Vicky would get a kick out of this story. So this is a story about the Bank of Ireland group. And this is on CNBC or CNN as well as CNBC talking about that. I thought it was really fascinating. So they're saying that in the UK and other parts of the EU, as well as Ireland, they're saying that they're really going to embrace something called menopause leave. Now, this is something, to be honest with you, I haven't gone through menopause. I don't know what this would feel like or what it's going to be like. But I remember my mom going through this, and I remember she really complaining about it quite a bit. But I guess they're really making a push for this because this is what I found fascinating. They're saying that employees are going to be able to take 10 days off a year if they experience like menopause symptoms. And I guess when you get menopause, I guess I guess it's pretty. It can be very, very uncomfortable, like fatigue, sleeping problems, joint pain, hot flashes, things like this that you just don't want to deal with in the workforce. And they're saying that based on their studies, most women, about a third, would feel very uncomfortable talking to their manager about their experiences. And so, therefore, in the UK and the United Kingdom, 1 in 10 employed women experiencing menopause actually quit their jobs because of these symptoms. This is according to a recent study. And another study said that more women are likely to retire because of menopause. And so we were just talking about, like here in the United States, keeping women in leadership roles, and making sure that you have diversity. I guess this is a very big thing. It's kind of exciting to see that, the Bank of Ireland and the UK, they're doing these studies of really embracing not even just like maternity leave when you're about to, have your first baby and building your family, but be really cautious and considerate about all stages in a person's life, right? And that time during menopause where it sounds like, I had no idea that people felt like they needed to quit their job or retire early because of these symptoms. But I think this is very progressive thinking, and I celebrate this. So I thought I would want to share this for sure.
Yeah, definitely progressive thinking. I mean, if the study is there and the studies show this, clearly I don't have anything in this. That this isn't something that I'm going to have to go through. But if the studies are saying that this is work, this is positive, and like you said, keeping people in the workplace and keeping people happy at their jobs, I'm all for time off. I'm all for flexible work schedules. I'm all for whatever it is that needs to happen. But I think that's the first that I've heard of anything like this.
Me too. And I'm
Yeah.
thinking, Greg, like, I think, our moms would have loved having something like this, right? I'm
Right.
sure your girlfriend would love to have something like this, later on. And I know for sure if I had something like this, my husband would probably appreciate it too. But I think I love this because I feel like we're starting to be more thoughtful in what inclusivity means, right? About
Yeah.
people and the things that they're going through health wise and whatnot. And I think, Greg, this is the beginning, right? I think that if we're gonna want to continue to stay productive and competitive as a country, as a nation, as a global society, we have to find ways to build work through things like people who are suffering from different illnesses or handicaps or things like long COVID.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Long COVID. Exactly. That's another thing
that's
that can
another
very much
thing.
affect people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's going to definitely affect many people, right? From
Yeah.
what we're reading.
Yep. I mean, at the end of the day, too, the bottom line, even if you're just looking at it from a corporate or company standpoint, the happier your employees are, the better the company is going to be. I mean, the more productive. So even looking at it from a kind of a colder angle of a corporate structure, it makes sense. Like it just makes sense
Sense.
all around.
It's good business to be good to your employees.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. And
Mhm.
taking to account everybody's concerns and issues. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I love that. And then you and I know you and I've talked about it quite a bit of like that, happy workplace and how can we be kinder to one another. And I think that's something that like I know you and I celebrate. So it's really great to see all our friends on the show also celebrating and getting it. And thank you so much, Vicky, for your comments, because I thought of you when I read that story and I was like, I think she might really enjoy this story. Now, this story, I think you're all going to enjoy. And Joshua, I think you're going to love this. Sadiq for sure. And Greg, I think you're going to love this one. So McDonald's, we talked about this a few weeks ago, in fact, on this show. I talked about how McDonald's is releasing their limited edition adult Happy Meal toys. Of course, these are not adult toys. They're just like, like really fun, like nostalgic toys that we might have had when we were younger. Well, believe it or not, these limited editions, some of these are being listed on eBay for as much as $300,000. Yes. So this one is like, so these recently released adult Happy Meals, like if they haven't been opened, they're still in pristine, there's something called a cactus plant flea market box. Believe it or not, has already sold out at most McDonald's locations across the nation. And so the only way for collectors was it actually had to go on places like eBay or Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace. And so some of these sellers are selling them for crazy amounts of money. So I guess this is part of their Big Mac combo meal. And so, $300,000. Nobody has bought it yet.
Wow.
But there's still a lot that have been selling. So they've had like 150 sealed toys were sold for $24,000. This was reported. And it was on October 6th, so that averages out about $16 for each of these toys. And in fact, in New York, this cactus plant flea market box, believe it or not, sold for about $13 already. So, I mean, at retail for about $13. So, talk about from $13 all the way to $300,000. This is just mind-boggling. And I'm thinking that some of you who are listening and watching this might be like, maybe after the show, I'm going to swing by the drive-thru at McDonald's.
I'm already thinking about it now. I'm like, I wonder if I can list something on eBay because I don't need it. So
so they're saying that, like, I guess based on this study that I saw on CNBC, it also said that like more than a dozen other of these like there've been over 150 of these cases where these things have sold for almost $2,000 or more.
That's just nuts. That is wow. I mean, I know people go crazy over the Happy Meal toys. Now I'm thinking, I think I still have some Happy Meal toys from when I was a kid, like in a box somewhere. So maybe I should be putting those on eBay.
I have some Beanie Baby Happy Meal ones that are still like sealed. To be honest with you, I don't know, Greg. I feel like it's so much work to sell on eBay. To like, I just don't know. I have the time, and then you gotta,
I know. I have that same thing. Like I'm going through a lot of old stuff right now that I'm like, I don't really need this anymore. But but for $300,000, I can definitely make sure I list.
Yeah, you might want to do that, right, Greg?
I may need to take a look and price out a few things. That's
who knew? That's crazy. This cactus thing must have been pretty cool. To be honest with you, I'm kind of like, oh man, I should have picked one up just to see what this was all about, right?
Right.
But I don't eat much McDonald's. I mean, I think what I probably should do is just go through, pick up the thingy and donate the food to somebody, right?
Right. Yeah, and then turn around and sell that, and everybody wins.
Everybody wins. Yeah, we'll have to check this out. We might have to it was news to me, but anyhow, that's what I've got this week, Greg. So I'm excited to hear what you had to share this week.
That's great. All right, well, I've got a few things to talk about today, and one of them I know is a topic that you are a fan of, and that is Apple, because we talked about this on Twitter yesterday. Apple making their announcement yesterday about new iPads, which this was something that a lot of people thought maybe they would do it when they unveiled the new phone. They would throw that in, maybe have a special event. They didn't really have a special event for it. It's just kind of a release of like, hey, here we go. Here's some new iPads. So a couple of things to go through with it too. So let me pull this up here and we'll go through some of the stats. So the first one is kind of the new entry-level iPad with all those different colors. So that I thought was kind of cool. So this is the 10th gen entry-level iPad. So the 10th version, and this is going to be coming out on October 26th. One of the big things to me is the addition of a USB-C port.
Oh,
And
wow.
Yeah, so getting away from the lightning cable, getting away from all that, going to the USB-C. And I think, I mean, that's where most Apple products are going to be going.
Good.
A lot of that has to do with a ruling in the EU saying that products have to be universal for chargers. And Apple, has tried to resist that for a long time in a lot of ways. But this is now clearly a sign of where things are going. So USB-C, I think, is great. Like that's good. Universal connectivity. So it doesn't matter what charger you have. Like I could use my charger here from my Dell laptop and it would work for that. So,
and it's so much more solid, right? Because a lightning cable, let's be honest with you, it's just not that reliable. And in fact, one of my iPads, my old, like I had a Pro iPad, and it stopped working because like it wouldn't charge anymore. It was because the port was no good. Mm-hmm.
Yep, exactly. So now at least you could just switch it out with a different charger. A lot of places aren't giving you chargers anymore. But that's a whole different topic. But yeah, so that part is good. So USB-C charging.
Cool.
A couple other things for the 10th gen. So it still uses their A14 chip. So it's not, top of the line. This is the entry level. You do, let's see, we've got, doesn't have the smart connector. It has a new optional Magic Keyboard Folio accessory. So you have that going for it. What do you think, though, before I go on to the iPad Pro, what do you think about the color schemes?
I love it. I saw hot pink and I thought, oh, like I love that. But for me, the iPad, I want to see productivity. I want to see what it can do and how quickly it can do it.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't going to be the fastest. You can get, up to 64 gigs of storage on it.
So cute.
So the thing is, the price did go up. Or excuse me, it starts with 64. It goes up to 256 for 150 more. But the thing is, the price is getting an increase. So it's going to be $449 to start for entry level, which is kind of a lot for an entry level product.
It is.
So that's and that's where they're going with it. As far as the productivity, we'll have to get it out and get some testing on it. But that's where we're at. So I'm curious what people think or if you have any questions. But
let us know.
Yeah, let us know. That's what they're doing for the entry level things. So the biggest new thing is the M2 chip. So that's going on to the iPad Pro. So let's talk about that. The iPad Pro.
Vicky likes the colors though, to answer your question.
I like the colors too. Yeah, I think that's.
I love the yellow and the pink.
Yeah, I like those new colors. Those are good ones. So going on to the iPad Pro. So that's the update. So we got the update.
That's what we really want to hear about, Greg, with the iPad Pro.
Yeah, this is the big one. So last year we had the one come out with the M1 chip, which is Apple's own chip. So that's what they've been working on. This now has the M2 chip. So the M2 chip is a really good fast processor, and that's I think what you would definitely expect coming from the Pro side of things. So it's got that. You can get 5G support, which most new products are coming out with that are going to have 5G support. Taking a look there, supercharged by the M2 chip. And again, that's the fancy new chip. You've got a hovering Pencil 2. So your pencil. So if you use the Pencil 2, or if you use a stylus of any kind, Apple's the Pencil 2, it'll activate and even when you're just hovering over it, so you don't even need to touch the screen. Wow. So that's a little bit of addition on there. The screen itself, really nice. As always, it's a pretty good picture on there that you're gonna get. Let's talk about the storage. So the 11-inch model starts off with 128 gigs, and that's $800 for the entry for the start of the iPad Pro. So $800 on that, and the 12.9. That's the starting price for 128 gigs with the 11-inch. The 12.9-inch starts at $1,099. $1,000. Yeah. That's getting kind of expensive for me personally for a tablet, an iPad like this. I don't know if I would utilize it enough to make it worth that price to me, but I'm sure there's a lot of people who would, especially when it comes to creators or people who are, out in the field doing things or want something that's kind of utilitarian. Then I get it. For me, that's a bit much, but you can even get a tier up to, 2 terabytes. I didn't look and see what the price was on that. 2 terabytes is a lot.
I want to hear how much the 2 terabytes is at.
Maybe we can take a look here. We'll see if we can get the pricing on that.
While you do that, I'll Google.
Yeah. Okay. I'll you can probably find it there pretty quick. So again, a really nice, one of the other big things too, when it comes to the iPads and iPad Pros and everything, Apple, is the interconnectivity with all the other devices once you're in the ecosystem, because you can take advantage of all of the latest stuff, all the latest operating softwares that let you, drag and drop between machines. You can go from your MacBook Pro to your iPad to your iPhone. And that part is really pretty impressive. And this is just kind of taking advantage of that again. And I think for the iPad Pro, if you are a creator, if you're a graphic design artist, this is probably a pretty cool machine for you.
Super cool.
But it all depends on what you're going to be using it for. If you're just using this to watch movies, or maybe emails or things like that, probably that's you're not going to take advantage of this.
The simpler one probably could do that too, right? So I looked it up, Greg. So this was kind of an eye opener. So the larger screen, right, with the 2 terabyte comes out about $2,200.
Yeah, see that? I mean,
that's just crazy. That's like how many PC laptops could you get for that price?
Yeah, well, you get a couple of good ones. I mean, 2 terabytes, that's a lot of storage, but what are you doing on there with 2 terabytes?
How many people could utilize that much, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's
maybe you
can find a way if you're downloading a bunch of videos. I mean, 4K videos add up quick. That can go quick, but I think just an external seems like it would be a better way. But that's over $2,000 for an iPad Pro. That's a lot of money. But there we go, though. So at least we're getting some new ones, and the M2 chip though is going to be a really big value.
I know. I've heard such great. I don't have an M1, but some of my team has an M1, and they rave about just how quick that machine is. So can anyone imagine how quickly the M2 would perform?
Yeah, M2. I mean, just that much better. But yeah, the M1 chip's been pretty phenomenal. I've tested out a couple of different things with the M1 chip, and it's fast. It's fast. Apple's done a good job on those. That's all part of Apple's move to get away from Intel or AMD or anybody else. But the M1, M2 chip you would get in the iPad Pro, that's pretty good. So if you're really into your iPad Pro, you want the best of the best, that's the one you're going to want to go for. So another thing announced is the new Apple TV, which, people who use the Apple TV are very into it. I know. I am not an Apple TV user, shocker, but there is a new one, the new Apple TV 4K. So as they say there, it's got the A15 Bionic chip, the HDR10 Plus. It's got all the bells and whistles that you would want for streaming, and using it for all of your streaming or Apple needs. That's new right there. So I don't have a lot to say on this other than it seems nice if you're into it.
I have one, so I can add to this.
Please let me know your thoughts.
So I had one because I do have one, and the reason I got it was because I do Apple Fitness, and in order to do Apple Fitness before, you used to have it. I think they've gone away where you can get away without having one now. But I will say the thing that drove me completely bonkers and why I don't care to use it very much at all, and I use my simpler, less expensive things like the Roku, is because that remote is not fun to use. And so many times it's beautiful, and sometimes I want to chuck it into the backyard because it's just that difficult to use. So hopefully they've improved it, but I feel like sometimes I know a remote control isn't attractive with so many different buttons, but let's be honest. And I think Joshua, Vicky, Sadiq, I think you would agree with me. Sometimes it's okay to have more ugly buttons because it works. Well, right? I don't want to have to toggle so much. Give me the Netflix button so I can just hit Netflix.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I want functionality out of my remote. It doesn't need to look super cool.
Yes.
Just as long as it gets the job done. Between that, the other thing I get frustrated with are interfaces for streaming services, because why can't they just all make it nice and simple? But that's a whole other topic that we talk about when it comes to streaming. I've got a whole ranking of those. But I just want a remote. Give me the buttons that I need. If I need more buttons, I'll take more buttons. Yeah. Right.
And that make it so difficult. I don't want to spend like 2 minutes trying to toggle down to what I'm trying to get to. Right. It's a little frustrating. So I had
an old remote for a while that actually had a full keyboard on the back of it.
Oh,
so you didn't have to go sit there and scroll through when you're logging into something. It was just,
we need that back.
Yeah.
Right? Don't
Bring
you
that
miss
back.
that? Sometimes you miss having a keyboard for your like TV, right? Because especially when you're searching for a show, it just seems like,
Just,
yeah.
yeah. I agree. I'm with you on that. I want that option back.
Or just let us use our phones for all our TVs. Maybe that will be the solution, right? Because I know there's some you can, but it's kind of a workaround. But it's
Yeah.
just, I think, Greg, I'm gonna make a prediction. I feel like that's the next trend. I think eventually TVs are gonna be sold without remotes because we're just gonna use our phones for it.
That's a probably good prediction there. Actually, that's a pretty safe prediction. I mean, I've used it for like Fire TVs. It's kind of clunky. It ends up being a lot easier just using the remote, in my experience anyway. But yeah, I think so. I think they're going to try to make us do all voice, but I don't want to do that either.
Yeah, but then sometimes they compete, right? Alexa and the TV, they, sometimes you forget their name and they get upset. Okay.
Yeah, I know. Well, in theory, that should be eventually going away too, to where you can use whatever one you want. Although I guess with televisions, maybe not so much. They might still be able to control that somewhat, but with the new stuff coming out for smart home connectivity, maybe they'll make it easier. But we'll find out. We'll have to see on that part. So anyway, there we go. That's the things from Apple. So not a huge announcement day, but still pretty big there for iPads. So if you're looking to get an iPad, hopefully you waited until this came out, and then you can make your decision whether you want the highest M1 or maybe you'll find one of the other ones for a little bit lower in price. We'll have to see how that all works out. But those are, I believe, shipping October 26th. I believe was the ship date for those, but you can double check. We're just going to the Apple Store. So we have that. Now, there's a couple other things, just two other things I wanted to bring up, and these have to do with some concepts that we've got to see. And one of them is going back to our phones and talking about, foldable phones are definitely out there now, whether you use them or not. Mm-hmm. There are a number of different foldable phones, but this is talking about the rollable phone.
So the rollable phone, screen. Like a cigarette?
I suppose so, in a way. Yeah. Not quite as rollable as that, but like that. And this is from a demonstration from Lenovo's Tech Worlds. This is a convention that's going on, and they're talking about Motorola and their rollable phone and some different foldable devices that are actually out there. It'll be about 30 seconds in here. We'll show that, but there's a foldable tablet, which we've been, more and more. I think those are going to be kind of the case. There's already some of those out there, but they're showing off right here. So this is the concept. Instead of, folding out your phone, this starts off at about 4 inches. Then you press a button and boom,
it cool.
Expands. It expands right there. I think it expands to 6.9 inches. I'll double check my notes on that.
It stretches.
Yeah. It stretches out, or 6.5 inches, excuse me. So, and then you can just hit the button and then it'll roll back in and you can put it back in your pocket. So you have a smaller device in your pocket. I like this. I think it's pretty cool.
This is cool. I see Deb joining us from Facebook Live. So I want to say a big hello to Deb Coleman for joining us today. Such a treat to have you here. What do you think, Deb? What do you think, Vicky? What do you guys think about what Greg has shown us now? I almost feel like it shouldn't be called the foldable phone. I feel like it should be called the stretching phone. I think
stretchy phone, yeah.
A stretchy phone.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's pretty cool what they've done. They also showed a demo there too of a laptop like rolling up. So your laptop would increase in size like that.
That's cool, right, Greg? So how like we travel a lot, and then like let's say like for example you just got back from Europe, so like for that business trip you could bring like a really tiny 10-inch or even smaller iPad size, and then it could whoop, and then it would take up such little space in your backpack or a suitcase. I love that. That's something that I would totally consider separating myself from money to buy just because of the convenience of having something to be so small.
Yeah. And I mean, be able to use it for so many different things. And having it nice and small, sit there and have it roll up while you're on the plane or whatever you're on. This is the kind of tech too that we've seen demos of this in the past. Like LG was showing off one before they stopped making phones. They had a really cool one, and then they had shut down right before it ever came out. But there's this kind of tech has been talked about for years and years and years. I mean, even back when the first CESs I was going to, they were rollable tech, rollable screens was the whole idea. It's taken a long time for anything like this to come out. I mean, LG does have that television, that the rollable OLED television that will kind of go into the end of your bed and it'll raise up, and that was my sound for it. It'll raise up and roll out. But it's very, very, very expensive. This one, we don't have a release date on anything like this. It's still a concept. or a price of what it would be, probably expensive. But if they can mass produce that, that to me is cooler than a foldable device.
Absolutely. I'm with you there. No foldable
Yeah,
device for me either. Sadiq is also saying Motorola TCL also has a rollable phone.
that's
And
true. Yeah,
CrossFit
TCL does.
Spiders said, I've heard of Motorola before. My family used to have Motorola phone back then. And CrossFit Spider also agree with me that more buttons, more options. Yeah. This my concern. I'm sure they've thought about this already, is the longevity of this. But let's be honest, most people, right, don't keep their phones for 10 years anymore.
Yeah,
So
that's
maybe it
true.
doesn't need to last as long as we're used to things lasting, right? Maybe if it lasts 5 years or 6 years is sufficient. Who knows?
I think, I mean, a lot of that stuff too is just going to start transitioning into you pay as a subscription service.
Right.
But I mean, it kind of is already, really, when you tie it into
Mhm.
your phone service. So trade it out every 2 years or trade it out every whatever, which is kind of what people do. Deb, I'm
Mhm.
not a fan of foldable. Seems like moving parts that means more things potentially break. And that's true. Like the Samsung ones, they've done a lot of testing on those, but the first iterations of those were breaking. They did break, but
Wow.
they're now on the fourth version of those ones, so they've figured out a lot of that. I would worry about this kind of phone though, because how do you put a case on that?
Oh
What
yeah,
kind of
good
case?
point.
That would be a big issue for me, because
That'd
I
be
break my
interesting.
phones a lot.
I
Got
know.
tracked already on that one, but yeah, that's thanks to the dog. But yeah, so it's good solid case would be necessary on
A
that.
good
That would have to
solid
stretch
case for sure, and one that actually, like, you know, that's
stretch out.
another thing. I don't know about you, Greg, but so this is my new case. I got to show you. I really love my new case. But talk about things that are going up in price. Cases, Greg, used to be like $5, $6.
Yeah, oh,
Cases
yeah.
are so expensive now, and if they have to be able to keep up with these rollable folding phones, I can only expect how much more this will be. But yeah,
Yeah, that one will
Sadiq
be an
says
interesting.
OtterBox foldable.
Yeah. Yep. So I don't know. They'll have to figure that part out. But I do like the tech though. I like that idea. That's really
Hmm.
cool to me. And for the laptop, for that, or for a television, eventually, the promise was always that you'll get one that you can actually roll up. So you mentioned like your cigarette, so just roll it up and then like throw it in your backpack like a poster. That would be
Hmm.
cool. But
I know. Imagine how much lighter it'll be, Greg, to travel. I'm sure you're the same way. I mean, we travel for work, right? And
yep,
a lot of times we need to make content on the go. So you've
yep,
got your laptop, and then you've got your camera, and then you've got the lens, and you've got all the chargers, and you've got
all the
like all these,
chargers, yeah,
right, the
batteries.
chargers and the batteries. It's like all of a sudden, like your camera might be this big, but by the time you bring everything you need, we're talking like like a 50-pound suitcase right there. So it'd
Yep,
be nice if
just
a
for
lot of
that.
yeah, just for that, if things would start to get smaller, and you know hopefully things more durable too, durable and lighter and smaller, and
Yes.
let's hope for cheaper.
I like all of those things you just said. Those are all, I agree completely. All right. So that was one cool concept anyway, that I saw this week that I wanted to bring up. Now, the last thing here I want to talk about, and I have actually brought this up on the show before, of what my desires would be for a home robot. One of the top thing, maybe the top thing, is folding laundry and actually doing my laundry, although we don't get the entire package with this. But this is an actual laundry bot that was out there that broke some records. So this is coming from UC Berkeley's Auto Lab. They showed a demonstration, and this is an actual a laundry folding robot. There's some kinds of versions of this out there, but this one, I guess, broke the record for all of them. And this is what we're going to see here. It's called speed folding. Even though it's not that fast, it's still pretty impressive. So the robot folded 30 to 40 randomly positioned garments per hour. So it said, it's usually about 2 minutes per garment. But what it can do is that it'll like spread it out, and so it gets rid of the wrinkles, and then folds
Wow.
it all up, and boom, you're on your way. I am all for this robot.
Hey, this folds faster than my kids. So, I mean, imagine, I'm just thinking, I don't know if the last time you went into Costco was, how many like piles and piles of folded clothes a Costco has at their warehouse?
Right.
Imagine they had one of these things. You just throw a shirt over and boop, boop, boop. I mean,
Yeah.
and they don't complain. They don't take lunch breaks.
Right. Just throw it at the robot. The robot will fold it.
This be pretty cool. Now, like, I feel like it's smart enough to fold clothes. It should be smart enough to do dishes. I would take dishes over laundry, but I know Greg. I mean,
yeah, if it can put the dishes back away after it's done, then I like that idea too. That's another good one. There are some dishwashing robots out there that do that. There's concepts for everything that are out there, but I like that this one, is breaking some records for how fast it can fold, and hopefully we'll get to see some more. But he's asking, does it iron too? I don't know. I don't know if I would trust a robot with a really hot iron in its hands, or I wouldn't want to go near it. But
I mean, why not? Because they build Teslas.
I suppose so too.
I feel like they should build iron clothes.
Yeah. You folding what you don't mean you just throw it in the basket, wear it, and put it in another basket. Yeah, that's yes. So that's why I am all a fan of this robot too. So this is a good robot. But yeah, we'll see where it goes. This thing's not out for sale or anything like that yet, but just showing off the concepts. We're getting closer.
It's cool. Closer. And I love how the footprint is so small too, right? Greg, this is a lot smaller than we've seen robots. And it was really neat because, a lot of times people are like, especially Elon was trying to make a robot look like a human. But in this case, you don't need a full-on human-looking robot. You just need the upper body because you just need the folding part.
Yeah, I don't need to be making eye contact with the robot while it's doing that. It can just
fold my socks. Just fold
it up. Put it away. Thank you. But there we go. So just showing off one robot, on our way to the hopefully, future robot butler that we're all going to have. But that's what I saw for this week. So, a little bit slower week, this one, but still some cool stuff coming out. And I love it too. I just want to remind everybody, always send me whatever kind of cool thing you see. Like, please feel free, write me on whatever platform you're on. Let me know if you see a cool tech product out there, or you have questions, just always send me that stuff.
And we truly mean it. We truly want to hear from you. If you follow both Greg and I on Twitter, you will see that we actually do this to each other. I will tag Greg on things. I'm like, oh, this looks so cool. And vice versa. And so we really do enjoy engaging with all of you. And so those of you who have tweeted to us or posted to us, we appreciate it. We love hearing from you. And sometimes you give us like the best content. So we appreciate it. Now, Greg, they make our job really fun. And I feel like,
Yes, absolutely. That's what this show is too. That's why we love everybody commenting and joining in and chatting and sharing. This is all fun it's fun for Whitney and I, but it's really fun interacting, with everybody out there and just having fun.
Just having fun. And if you don't mind, consider following each other because we want you also to benefit and to get to know each other. And let me just going to do a plug right here because Deb Coleman, this is her first time joining us on the show. So I want to do a plug. I'm going to tell you, she is one of my friends on Twitter. She is literally the sweetest, most wonderful human being too. So if you don't follow her already, I definitely encourage you to do so. She's good people. And I've been very, very grateful to have met her. And of course, everybody's great. We're just happy, and we're gonna be back next week. We're gonna be back next week. I feel like we need
yes, definitely next week. Yep, I already have a couple of ideas of some things that we should be covering next week. So, so I think that's it for this week, though. But please, reach out. Like when he said, follow each other, follow us, talk anytime. We're always around, and appreciate all of you. And I think, we'll talk to you next week.
Amazing. And for those of you who watch, I will probably not be coming live to you tomorrow just because I am filming a brand new course, financial course for creators in the creative industry. So I'm telling you now because it's kind of top secret, but now of course we're friends. So now you know, but it's going to be coming soon. So I can't wait to share that with you again. But Greg, I won't be here tomorrow. We probably won't see each other on air, but we'll see each other next week. So next Wednesday, we'll be back. And that's a wrap.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.